Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Suppin and Matt Warman. Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans, because we are fans of this team in spite of what in the world is going on, and we have a lot to go into. We have an international break, so there's nothing to look forward to. So we don't have any predictions or hot takes or any of that kind of stuff. But it's hard to believe that it was a week ago that we played Tigres in their spot. Um, wow, there's a lot to unpack there. And then we have the Montreal game, which there's a lot to unpack there as well. So for those who are interested, let's get on with it. Mark, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine, sir. Good to see you again, my good man.
It's good to be seen, I'm telling you. It's better than the other thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So a week ago, it feels like a million years ago, but a
Yeah,
week ago, we played Tigres with a three-goal lead. So our
yeah,
thought process was, you know what? We don't have to win the game. We just have to not let them score three. And we did that and more. And then we scored, and then they scored a little bit more. There's so much there. I don't know about you, but I know in the first 5 minutes I was watching the game and it looked like not that they were unnerved, but I was like, just don't give up a goal in the first 5 minutes and give them hope. Make them work for it. Even
yeah,
if they're down one or even 2-0 at halftime, I'd rather not go down to 2-0. But I'm like, just don't let them score in the first 10 minutes. And I was like, don't let them score in the first. Don't let them score in the first two. Damn it! it was
yeah,
it
yeah,
was easy peasy. It is now 3-1 after like 5 minutes. And it's like, how did the wheels come off? Uh, Ending up with, I think it was a 2-0. It's because it was a week ago and I'm trying to blank things out. But I believe we went into halftime with a 2-0 lead, and I think we were very thankful for that because we didn't look like we had anything planned on offense and
yeah.
certainly weren't playing any defense.
Right.
So what were your thoughts on that first half?
Yeah. The first half against Tigres. My gosh. Yeah, we're talking about down there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. It just. Yeah, I was en route back to my house and was listening to it on radio, and I just couldn't believe it. It's just everything that has had been going wrong sort of hit a crescendo in that first half, and you just thought, where's the identity, come from this team, and why have we gotten to this point? Um, why have we gotten to this point? And so it's just very, very difficult. And then the second half, just more of the same. We showed some fight right there at the end, but first half, I didn't see anything that pointed to how we were going to advance. Honestly,
We had the younger Chirilla start at
yeah,
left back, which to me kind of negates the heavily rotated six-goal loss in New England, which was the whole reason for that. Um, we didn't look good on offense. We didn't look good on defense. They looked like they were outplaying us. The ref was all over the place, as you're going to get. It was a very physical game. Um, they seemed very much in tune to take it to us, and we seemed to be very inclined to take it from them.
yeah,
We definitely did show some fight, and we were trying not to get let them get under our skins. But that first goal was right down the middle. It was an easy cross. There
yep,
was but I will tell you, I thought they were the better team uh, throughout. I mean, not just that we played poorly. Even when we started playing, they played really well. And quite frankly, some of those goals were stunning. I hate to say that, but those goals were seeing eye goals just inside the post. I'm not saying that they were lucky. They were well placed. There's not much Celentano or the defense could do if you're outside the 18 and you're taking laser shots
Yeah.
and going just inside the post. The goal that beat us in the second half at the death. We've been
Yeah.
through that before on both sides. It's always sucks to be on the side that we were on. Because that shot again was like a 20-25 yarder just inside the post, bouncing around. But we're not sure if Celentano got hurt because that was clearly a red card. That was clearly a red
Yep.
card. He had the ball. The guy was nowhere near him, and then comes
Yep.
running right into him. You know how it is when you see your team really get up into people's business after that, and it really caused some things. And the ref thought about it and then didn't do it. I mean, he didn't even get a yellow. I don't
I
understand what he
know.
red. You do that in any league.
Yep.
It wasn't like he was contesting it. You could say, well, he was doing that. No, Salentano caught the ball and was on the way down, and then he just
Yeah.
threw a forearm
Yeah.
shove to his head and like threw him back into the goal. Well, come on.
Yep. Yeah. It hurt him. It took him. Obviously he hurt himself before the next match. In training. But you have to look back to that. Uh, you know. I want to be in these leagues, and it's going to come up in Leagues Cup. Um, Sadly, we've seen this where the referees just let so much go, and it's not. We've got to don't hear what I'm not saying. We've got to step up and fight, and we have one half or maybe about 30-35 minutes in which we fought. For maybe for the first time in this MLS season, but at that game, it was just it's just tough that we have to endure that kind of refereeing and that kind of just blatant play, and very little if nothing called, and it just satisfied me that like I said, I was en route to the house, and you just heard Tommy G just railing on the refs like there's just no way they can just let all of this go, but this is what we have to deal with, and it makes you wonder, do we really want to be in these type of early season tournaments? Because it's very very difficult on the psyche and the health of our team to play all these games right off the bat. And obviously, we've seen the result of this. We're losing our identity, and that's what Noonan said. And I think we got our identity back in about 30 minutes in this last match, and boy, did we ever need it. But this is where we are.
At that point, we gave up what, 12 goals in the last two games, and
11, 11 and 14 overall in three matches.
so it was like playing the Red Bulls or the Pigeons that they'd get touched and they'd fall down and hold their leg. I thought I saw a play where a guy he trips and falls down and holds his leg. He didn't even not he just didn't get touched. It was like, and if he did get touched, it would have been like at the hip, not at the leg. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't think they made a call, but it was like, what? When you do it once and you get away with it, you continue to do it. And this
yeah,
ref was like, I don't care. But it seemed like it was going towards Tigres as opposed to us, and we can't get beat up this early in the season. So, right, we have to make a decision. It's a very prestigious cup. I would like to continue on. We had a shot. We actually had a shot. Um, we put in a bunch of subs. I said that we're going to have to put in our starters at halftime, and we did two of the three. I think everybody but Buka came in. Uh, and in the second half, we played much, much better. Uh,
yep,
my thought process is if you're up 3 goals, do you play your backup first time starter uh, in center back, or do you play your starters for 45 minutes and then just take them out at the 75th minute and see if you could hold on? Because giving up two goals really quickly put this team mentally in a big hole. And
Yep.
if you end up playing your starters and you go 0-0, or you give up a goal on the 37th minute and you're like, okay, we're down one, we got 45 minutes to go, two goals, one goal by us, and this game is over, as opposed to just going, well, we're up three. Let's put all the backups in, and I mean, that play-in blew up in 5 minutes. And I
Yep.
think I'm not a critic of Noonan per se. It's as I was talking to my wife, I was like talking about this, and people are like, Pat Noonan out, and she's like, last I checked, Pat Noonan wasn't out on the field.
Yeah.
Players still have to play, right?
Correct.
It's not like they're not, because he wasn't very happy with how they were playing either. So sometimes the players get in their head. So uh, that was bad, and a lot of people were going, well, it's a loss and all that. Then we score a goal, and then it's like, okay, we're on, and then 12 minutes of stoppage time.
Oh,
12
I
minutes.
know.
There was less stoppage in the second half. In the first half, I think there was a VAR, a quick
Yep.
VAR, but not 12 minutes.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, Tigres is behind. We need them to have an opportunity to score, right? If it's a 10-minute stoppage time, they don't score. That's and 10-minute stoppage time is ridiculous. It'd have to be something. And a lot of injuries, and then people were injured, but they weren't head injuries, but they were allowed to stay on the field. It seemed like they weren't playing by any of the rules that I know. At some point, everybody should be on the same rules. I like the 15-second to get off the pitch so you don't take time waste. And he was on Celentano for time wasting early on, and but nobody else. And it's a thing that you just kind of put behind. But it was a shock. They did show some fight in the second half. They did score a goal in the second half, so it looked like we were going. Then victory is pulled out of our jaws, and here we are.
Yep.
So I'm going to put that thing to bed. I
Yeah.
think I'm happy because you got to remember again that was their fifth match in 14 days.
Yeah.
Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, whatever it is, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday,
Right.
Thursday.
Right.
Uh, those are days that they don't normally play. Those are days that they normally practice for game plan for a Saturday night match.
Hmm.
We have yet to play a Saturday night match. We might have played one, but we certainly haven't played anything at home. Even we
Hmm.
played two Sunday matches, three Sunday matches, two Sunday
Yes.
after and a Sunday. This team
Yep.
hasn't gotten on any kind of regular schedule. I mean, I'm not trying to give excuses to this team. They need to play better, and you got to play when the schedule lets you play, and you got to play the teams that are there. So, we're playing to quote bottom dwellers. You know what? I can tell you this much. I don't care how bottom dweller you are, except for maybe Montreal. Well, we're going to get to that. Uh, this league, particularly this conference, is very evenly matched. And if you don't have your A game, they will beat you. And we haven't had our A game for some time, and it's really been just kind of frustrating. So let's put that behind. So we move on to Sunday's match, which was Montreal. So I think going in, people were thinking, okay, this is a comfortable 2-0 win. Let's just kind of settle in, kind of right the ship a little bit and shake things off. And of course, that's not how it goes. What are your thoughts on Sunday's match?
Well, obviously it was there. It was just it was hard, that we got off to another, just bad start. And you we were hoping that Miazga was just going to, be you know, the guy that was going to rescue us in the back line. And clearly, that didn't happen. It just you just saw breakdown after breakdown, and we can't put it all on Miazga. Obviously, um, Miles had his issues in the back line, but I just think it's continuity back there that is severely hampered right now. And it culminated with, unfortunately, Miles getting sent off in the 60th minute, and that was just so irritating because everything we tried to do that was good was only being trumped by something bad. They were constantly going ahead of us. We get a goal back, they'd go ahead of us. They get a goal back, they'd go ahead of us again. And it finally took, after getting Miles sent off, and maybe maybe it was the water break that changed everything. But you saw a fight. You saw a fight that wasn't just a one man fight. Now, granted, you know, Ender Echenike is coming into his own. He is making the plays and doing the things he needs to do. Honestly, I think in the first half, and it was happening right in front of me. You just saw, you know, them in the final third, and you just didn't see Ender engaged at all. And then 5 minutes later, here he comes down with a 60-yard run, and kabam! Just he just ran by. I mean, it was almost Acosta-ish how well that came about, because you really thought hey, he's just going to dribble into problem, but no, he took care of business and got it done. But 60th minute after the water break, this team, you know, I think it hit rock bottom. I think it hit rock bottom, and they said this is it. So you've got to like their fight. You've got to like their determination and the will to win. Now, granted, it's against a Montreal team that they probably should have handled anyway, but 4 goals, and it took them all 90 some odd minutes to score them. But that's okay. I'm happy that they got this win. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty for a long time. But what happened in the last bit, got cheers from me. Unfortunately, still a lot of people in the Bailey booing. Um, you didn't see Tigres booing their team when they came out for losing 3-0 up here. They were 35,000 strong and loud for their club, and we need to have that. We can't just we got to back this team Cincy till I die. That's all we need to be about.
From the fan perspective, yeah, there's a lot of people who are disgruntled. I think there's a lot of people who have overvalued this team. And quite frankly, I don't know. There's a lot of people who are mad, like Orlando City signed Griezmann, right?
Yeah. Whew,
And
what a
the
signing.
first thing I said was, does he play defense? Because I don't think Orlando is playing very good defense. And then I look on the comments, and all of the Orlando people were like, hopefully he could play keeper because we need a keeper. We need some defense. Great that you signed a $20 million forward. I guess we're going to try to win 6-5 because they're still not going to be playing defense. So every team has their problem, and you get so myopic. And
Yeah.
Cincinnati fans have gotten used to this. On paper, we're the best team in the world, and then we end up being 500. It's like, well, sometimes we're just a 500 team. I'm not saying this team is, but in Cincinnati sports, particularly other teams, people get so hyped over average teams, and then they play
Hmm.
average, and then they get all disgruntled because somebody told them that it was going to be much better this year than it was last year because we signed some offhand player that in in the other teams and the other leagues. I'm not going to worry about the other Cincinnati sports league. This one has a really good team, and they're not playing up to potential. And I don't have
Yeah.
anybody criticizing that. But I can't really criticize anybody booing. You paid the ticket, you can do what you want, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. But stop acting like booing is what we need to do in Cincinnati because that's the only thing that will motivate this team. This team was sick and tired. They got after that red card. I think they were tired of the refs. I think they're tired of them play. I think they're tired of being hypercritical of themselves. They just got angry. As you said, fight. I'm going to say angry. They flipped the switch and they were the team we were expecting them to be all year. They looked that way against Atlanta. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened after the Atlanta game, which we won 2-0, by the way. And
Mm-hmm.
we looked great doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly, after Leagues Cup, after CCC, we started doing rotation, and we're playing some of the backup guys, and they're not doing their job, or somebody's not doing their job, or somebody's unhappy that they're not getting to sit, or they're unhappy because they're not playing. I'm not sure. But all of that nonsense, after Miles got a ridiculous red card, uh, was it a tug? It's a professional tug. I've seen professional tugs. I've seen a lot more not get anything called. Uh,
Yeah.
the rebound, it shouldn't have been called, but if you're going to call it, he's the last man. This is what I said in the social media. It's like I don't agree with the call, but he was the last man. He was the one that obstructed him from scoring from a scoring opportunity. It is a red card and a PK. There you
Mm-hmm.
go. I thought Evan Loro, even though the first goal was not closed out by anybody, again, it's out way outside the 18. Evan Loro did not play that ball very well.
Yeah.
I think Celentano, if he's healthy, makes that save.
Yeah.
Uh, we've gotten accustomed to it. Evan Loro is not Celentano, and
Yeah.
he's got his positives and minuses, and this is it's kind of emblematic of this early season, right? Uh,
Yes.
People are complaining, but we had Ender out for almost 3 games, and then we were
Yes.
trying to ease him back in. I think Miles Robinson has a knock, or he's trying to not get a knock because he's going to the World Cup in a couple of months, and he doesn't want to suffer that. I think there's a mental thing going there. He's not playing his
Yeah.
best. When we signed him to a DP contract, some people were like, "Why did we do that?" Hey, that's a valid criticism. I don't agree with you, but you are about as right as I am. But that's what we kind of stamped ourselves in, is that we're down the spine, we're as good as everybody else, but now we have to play. And I like what you said. So I'm going to give you some positives and then expound on that, how you feel about this. Jabari got his first goal, I think. I'm trying to remember. Maybe not. I'm trying to remember. Echenike got his first goal in MLS. Barlow got his first goal. And
Yep.
when Dank scored the game winner, what would prove to be the game winner, um, he did his little goal dance, and then Evander came over and helped him do the goal dance, and they hugged. So that tells me there's still a lot of team unity. It wasn't a me, it wasn't an I. This team is still pretty close knit. So I don't think there's any locker room issues where somebody doesn't like somebody. I think they're just, for lack of a better thing, they were in a funk and they got so angry that they kind of played themselves out because they played
Yeah.
lights out, a man down. So what do you think about the second half, especially?
Well, I know I was kind of badgering on some of the many of the negatives, and certainly it's right there. It's the 800-pound elephant in the room. But let's talk about the things that got the victory. Okay, after uh, whatever Prince got his PK, that was their last goal. That was their last goal, and I'm going to look at two players that did their job and did it very, very well. The first one, Nick Hagland. You've got to give it to him. He got in the keeper's face down there. I mean, almost right after he came in. I think he set the mindset. I think he's put the psyche into that match that was sorely needed. And obviously, at the end of the 94th minute, we get, you know, you look at taking the time to make this throw in, and like, why are we taking so much time? Well, guess what? It turned right into gold, and we got a goal from it. The other player that came in the 88th minute got a critical block very, very late, and just solidified. That's all we needed. We just needed the midfield to just be solid, and they were, and that's Steven Jimenez. And you know, nothing flashy. We didn't need anything flashy from him. We just needed him to be solid, and he did it well. and I'm proud of that dude because he comes in as this is just in case we're either way ahead or somebody's hurt. He's been pressed into service. Well, yeah, he was pressed into service, but boy, did he ever deliver. We needed him to step up, and he did. So that's where I am really lift that man up because he's a young kid that's still learning you know cutting his teeth in this league. But I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for Nick. That he's continuing to be the he's wanting all that smoke. He wants all the he wants that fire to be in everybody, and boy does he go out there and prove it. So I'm happy for both of them.
That is the one thing if you want to say, look, I think Miles Robinson is a heck of a player.
Yeah.
I think he's technically he knows what he wants to do. I think he stayed here in Cincinnati and not go to Europe because he wants to work on his leadership skills. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my opinion. That's what I think. Is because he knows he goes out and does his job. And you can see at times he is not that fiery guy. He's beginning to
Hmm.
get there. He's
Yeah.
beginning to do some of those things because he would be like, my job is to recover against the fastest guy and shut him down. And he does that. But he doesn't say, guys, you gotta pull up. You gotta mark your man. You gotta watch what's going on here. He doesn't do a lot of that. That's what that's where a Nick Haglin or a Matt Miazga, those guys are fiery leaders. And when we were there, it was Miazga and Haglin who were getting people in the position and the one thing I'll say about Evan Loro, he's the same. He's not a good keeper as Celentano, but Celentano doesn't seem to get after his defense, telling them that they need to get over somewhere. I mean, I don't need him to be like Guzan, like every time a goal scores, Guzan blames somebody else.
Yeah. He's very
But
vocal. It's
but
always been like that.
but as a keeper, you've got to be able to say, guys, what are you doing? I can't
Yeah.
can't save everything. And Celentano isn't that way either, but he needs to start getting a little more excited in those aspects. I think that's what the
Hmm.
defense needs, just a kick in the pants. Look, I said this last year when we were having a revolving door, is that if you can't rely on your defense, nothing else clicks. The midfield
Yeah.
has to sag back. Even players like Evander have to sag back. They have to start further back and get things going. You can't do that. But I'm just so excited about our everybody scored one goal. It wasn't like Denke scored four, and it was just one person kind of beating their matchup. It was all the team on the offense. I will say this: you can say what you will about. First off, if you think we're a wooden spoon team, you're out of your mind. You're just out
Yeah.
of your mind. Go make a snowman, as Ryan Hall would say. Go make
Yeah.
because that ain't happened. That what we played in Montreal is what we looked like in 2019, 2020. That's what we
Right.
looked like.
Yeah.
Couple man, they parked the bus because they thought, well, that's what everybody does is park the bus. We took it to them. So yes, down a man, 11 men back to 10 men offensive. We scored not one, but two, right? If we
Yes.
scored one and got a draw, people would be okay. But we came back. We came all the way back. We scored two goals in less than 30 minutes, down a man. And the valid criticism would be always, why aren't you doing this with 11 men against this squad? I'm hoping that now, with a break, this international break, a lot of people are going to their clubs and whatnot, going home, maybe getting some home cooking, getting away for a second, coming back. Uh, that we start getting on a Saturday schedule. We start getting a
Yeah.
routine. Humans are creatures of habit, and when you've got your routine, I mean, how many thousands of miles have we gone? Down to Mexico and up to New England, and we played a couple of home games and home cooking and whatnot. But a lot of high pressure, high stakes games very early in the season. I think the next few weeks will tell how good this team is.
Yeah,
What are you looking for in the next game?
yeah. Obviously, we're what 9, 10 days away from even our playing a next game, and Red Bulls. They always seem to come up when we might have a question or two here, and this month coming up is going to be every bit of that. FCC has questions to answer, and the month of April is going to tell a big story about how we are because we're going to be playing um, Red Bulls not once but twice in the month of April, along with NYCFC, Chicago, and another Toronto match. So it just becomes something that we're either gonna sink or we're gonna swim. And I'm confident because I know what we're about. I know what we're capable of, and I'm just seeing that we have a big chance to have a solid April and put ourselves back into contention. We started off decent, and then all it took was a couple of 1-0 losses to Toronto and Minnesota, and it just put a bad taste in our mouth. And boy, did it ever, just spiral from there. But playing Red Bulls twice, well, good. Get it over with, and if we can get a decent result in both of those matches, home and away, that's gonna set us up pretty well. I'm looking forward to what can happen. Um, and I just think this break we need is everything we're gonna hope to get from the team to be more cohesive and to have a united you know front as we go through these matches.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. I think Buka looked a little tired. Evander's still trying to get all the way back. He's
Yep.
showing flashes, but he's still not at 100%. You could just tell. Denke is getting more touches. He had more touches in that game, of course, the game winner. But I
Yeah.
liked that Echanike was challenging somebody. I think that's what we need on the other side. I think Brian Ramirez still hasn't kind of settled in yet. He plays stretches well and then stretches poorly. Obi play. It's like the whole team is like really good and then make a stupid pass and then be on the counter
Yeah.
at mid. Right. These are the kinds of things that you can clean up. You can do better. I think this team can play better, and I think it will play better. And you can't win the cup in April. You can lose it or put yourself in a very big hole, but you can't win it in April. I don't know how Miami has 10 points at smoke and mirrors at this point, and no red cards for Messi for doing basically the same thing. He that Miazga did. We don't have a 2 game suspension, so we know how those things go, and that kind of it's all these little things besides not playing well that gets the fan base all riled up and disappointed.
Yeah.
So, do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
um yeah, just this is a big crossroads for us, and I know Roman isn't going to the national team, and I know Miles is. But I just hope for safe travels and safe play for all of the players that have received call-ups. I don't have the list in front of me, but I think they had an FCC video on Buka, which you could just see the smile just exude from him, that he was honored to represent his team, and I'm just so happy for him because you're gonna see you're gonna see a really inspired man playing on the world stage, or fighting for that spot
I
in
think
the
that game
World
is
Cup.
tonight. Yeah, I think
It
that game
is.
is tonight against Ireland. It might have
Okay.
already happened. I can't remember.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, obviously, just looking back, Buka was so excited for this, And I just didn't see any fake in that at all. You just saw a guy that was generally just giddy about this. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for all the players that are got their call ups, and just hopefully everything goes well and they come back and we can just fire on all cylinders once that break is over.
So yeah, so I think we had 10 players between junior and senior teams
Yeah,
all over. So it's good to have 10 players go out. That should tell you the strength of this squad. So I can see why people are upset.
yeah,
But this team always seems to gel better when the weather turns warmer, and so hopefully that's what will happen. And we have a little bit of break after a very long stretch of playing games off out of turn and all that. We'll be fine. I think we'll be
yep,
fine.
for
The
sure.
next you win the next two matches, then you're on the 3 game win streak. You're back
Yes.
up top four of the table. We're only like I think ninth or seventh, and we're the goal differential has gotten crushed a little bit, but uh, we're there. We're there.
Yep.
We just we just gotta grind out a couple of results and then start putting the hammer down on some people, and we'll be fine. We know who we have to play, and hey, we're ahead of that team up north, so that's really all you need to know.
Yeah.
Um, Next week, even though there isn't there is a match coming up, I guess the following Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember when we play. I think it's Saturday, finally. I'm
Yeah.
working on a redo of a special guest, so hopefully I haven't heard back yet, so I can't say officially what, but it'll be a really good interview with somebody that we had on, but due to technical difficulties, it didn't work out as well as it should have. So I want to hear his opinion on things and bring that to you guys. And also, if you're around on Monday at UC at 5 p.m. Copa 71, the unknown Women's World Cup,
Right.
unofficial.
Yes.
That is going on to support women's shelters. So it doesn't cost anything, but if you can bring something for a women's shelter or some money, that'd be great. Popcorn is free. That's what I've been told. So go out and if you have time and you're inclined to go do that, that'll be a lot of fun. Otherwise, we will see you next week here on FCC Supporter Square.
Thank you for watching FCC Supporter Square. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. The intro song was Disappointed by the Stone Bunnies. The outro song was Awesome Sauce, also by the Stone Bunnies. If you'd like to be on the show or contact us, it is at fcc.supp.square@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.